everyone, Jennifer here. The title of this week's video is called Raising Tidy Children. Another highly requested topic about children and chores, and I think this is such an important topic. You know, the children in this generation especially are so spoiled, for lack of a better word. They have whatever they want, they do whatever they want, and a lot of the times, you know, we moms, we just run around and we kind of do everything for them. And I don't think that that helps them in the long run. I think it's important for children to have chores and know what it takes to run a home and to just, you know, take pride in their things and to take good care of their things. And that's what I want to instill in my children. So in this video, I'm going to share with you what I do, what we do in this house, that this video helps you. And you know, I hope that also in the comment section you can leave your tips as well so that we can all learn from each other on this, because parenting has such a big learning curve, doesn't it? And I find that as the years go on, obviously I'm getting more and more comfortable in my role and just learning from my children and just realizing, you know, the type of values that I want to instill in them. So for those of you who don't know, I have two children right now. I have two daughters, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I have another baby on the way, and that baby is due at the end of June. So that is where we are in our family. I've written down a list here of important topics that we can discuss today. So for raising tidy children, the number one thing I want to say to you is that repetition is key. It's so important with your children to remember that when you give them a chore, they are not going to do it up to your standard. If they do, it'll be completely shocking. But if you give your 3-year-old the task of wiping the countertops, for example, she is not going to get all of the spots and she's not going to do it to your standard. But the important thing is to make it fun and to praise them as they're doing it. Good job, yep, you did great there. Make them feel really important, like they're contributing to the household. And to do this on a regular basis. Don't decide, oh, I think they should wipe the countertops, and then just have them do it once and then don't do it again for another 2 months. You have to establish a key routine so that it becomes a part of their day. Repetition is key. Whatever chores you decide they are going to do, whatever household responsibilities you're going to give them, make sure that they repeat them on a regular basis. And that could be daily, for example, or it could be weekly if your child's chore is to take out the trash. I remember that was my chore when I lived with my parents. So just repetition and making sure that you just don't deviate from it, really. Okay, the second thing I want to talk about is building good habits. Our children, they probably all have the propensity to just, when they take off their clothes, just leave them on the floor. Or, you know, when they get out of the bath, just drop the towel on the floor. And they're just never too young to remind them. The clothes go in the dirty clothes hamper. The towel goes on the rack. You know, put a little stool there so that they can reach a step stool so they can reach the towel rack, for example. Just really building good habits from the very beginning. If you let it go, then they're building the habit of just throwing their things on the floor. And that is going to be a hard habit to break. So I don't care how young they are, you know, you can teach them where things go in their proper place. Okay, my third tip. If you have a playroom, or a play area in your home, and most people do. Even when we lived in our old house, our townhome, we had a little play area behind the sofa in the living room. Now we actually have a playroom, which won't be there for very long because that's going to become the baby's room. But if you have a playroom, keep it tidy. I think a lot of people, they just kind of close the door on the playroom and the rest of the house is nice and tidy, but the playroom is just a complete disaster. It's full of toys everywhere, just like an explosion. And okay, it's all right if it's like that, you know, every now and then, I think. But I think it's important to teach our children to clean up after themselves, even in the playroom. So if we take out a toy, for example, my daughters love Magna-Tiles. So if we take out the bin of Magna-Tiles and they play with them, if they build this amazing castle, yes, the castle can stay there until they knock it down. But if they knock it down, then the pieces need to go back and we need to put it away. So we try to get into the regular flow and tide of cleaning the playroom. Now the playroom is not pristine. Everything's not put back exactly in its proper place, but I like them to get into the habit of cleaning it up. If we ever have a play date at our house, The girls, before their friends come over, I ask them to please tidy up the playroom, and they get really excited about it because they want to, show the playroom off to their friends. So they're up there arranging the bean bags and putting the toys back in their spot and even dusting, especially my older daughter. She really gets into it. So I think keeping the playroom tidy, if the playroom is not a room where there are no rules, I think that the household rules should still apply to the playroom. Okay. My next point is that if the children make an epic mess somewhere in the house, and they love to play and use their imaginations. And mine, for example, love to, in our living room, take down all of the sofa cushions and put them on the floor and climb around and like build forts and things out of the blankets. And I'm okay with that. I tell them you can't do that in anybody else's house, but you can do that here. That's fine. Especially on rainy days and things like that. So they will make an epic mess. And they used to do this a lot, and I would find myself putting it all back together after they finished playing, when they were in their bath, for example. But then I'm thinking, why am I doing this? I didn't make this mess. So now if they ever make an epic mess like that with all the couch cushions and everything on the floor, they have to clean it up too. So before we move on to something else, they need to put all the cushions back and, put everything back in its place so that it looks like it did before they started. And again, they don't look at these as, they don't, what's the word? What am I trying to say here? They're not annoyed that I'm telling them to do this. They just realize that it's part of it. If you make a mess, you clean it up, basically, is what I'm trying to instill in them. And you can take the pressure off yourself as the mother, just constantly picking up after your children, because ultimately they will have that in themselves. Okay, if I make a mess, I'm going to clean it up. Age-appropriate chores. Some examples of what we do. Every morning, my daughters make their beds. I think I mentioned this in another video. So they make their beds. Of course, my 3-year-old, when she makes her bed, it's so cute, actually. She tries so hard, and it looks actually pretty good for a 3-year-old. She can't really reach that far, but she does her best, and that's all that matters. And when she was 2, I couldn't really do that because she can't, reach her bed. But if they're in a low toddler bed, for example, they could do that. So age-appropriate chores, I think at 3, they should definitely be making their bed. My 3-year-old, her chore is she dusts the banisters, and she loves doing that. This happens like once a week. If she's bored and doesn't have anything to do, I'll give her a dust cloth and we'll spray it with some of the vinegar or lavender solution, and she'll just dust the banisters. So she likes to do that. Both girls help me fold the laundry. We've made folding into something fun, if you can believe it. So I have, the laundry basket, and we have a lot of rags or napkins or kitchen towels, and they love to fold those. So I will make it a fun thing, and I'll say, okay, time to fold the laundry, and they'll come and they'll help me. Now, do they fold it like I like to fold things? No. It doesn't matter though. They're folding it, and they take so much pride out of folding it. It's just amazing. You don't think that they will. I think we're like cringing, just afraid of how they're going to react. But if you just make it no big deal. Like, come on, help mommy. They like to spend time with you. I find that it's a really fun activity for them to fold the laundry.
Hey.
I might put that in there. Okay, that was my husband, if you couldn't already tell. All right, where was I? Yes, age-appropriate chores. Okay, so something that we do every weekend. So the repetition part, right? They make their beds every single day, and whenever we do the laundry, they help me fold it, although that's not, necessarily a regular thing. But another repetition thing they do is that every night after dinner, one of them will sweep the floor of the kitchen, and the other will help me wipe down the countertop, the kitchen table. We usually sit at our island in the kitchen to have dinner. They switch. So one week, one of them will be sweeping, and the next week, the other one will be wiping. Or sometimes, to really switch it up, is one night, one will sweep, and the next night, that person will sweep. So they'll switch. But they're doing one or the other. They're either sweeping or wiping the countertops. And it's just something we do. It's not, again, sometimes I have to go over it again after they leave, but I'm just getting them into the habit. My 5-year-old does a great job. I don't ever have to go over anything she does. It's my 3-year-old who I just kind of have to, pick up after. But they love feeling that they are contributing. And really, and my 3-year-old, she tries to do things like she wants to do the dishes with me, for example, but I don't quite let her yet because we've broken a few things. But she'll put her, I always have the sink full with like suds and everything for the dirty dishes. So she loves going in there and washing the dishes. Give your children the benefit of the doubt. If you're one of those parents who, you think, yeah, I really should be giving them more chores, but you're afraid to see how they react, or you just don't want to hear them whine or get into a fight about it, give them the benefit of the doubt. Just make it a really positive thing, and you'll be surprised, how they react to it. And I think the earlier you start off with them, the better. So hopefully, if you've been making your bed since you were 3 years old, hopefully you'll keep that and you will continue to make your bed when you're 43 years old, for example. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is a reward system. So a lot of people have charts. The kids will collect stickers, or they will ultimately get a prize or something for doing their chores, or they will get an allowance as they get older. Okay, I don't do that actually. Right now, I don't do it. We don't have a reward system, and here's why. And I have nothing against reward systems, and I think that they're great, and I know everyone who I know who uses a reward system, they work great for them, and they're good for their family. I don't use them because right now at this point, I don't want to reward them for things that they should just be expected to do, like pick up after themselves. I don't think everything deserves a reward, and that it's okay to realize that in life you don't get rewarded necessarily for making your bed. But what I tell them is that the reward is living in a tidy and orderly environment. And they don't even know. I haven't introduced a reward system, so they don't even know necessarily what they're missing out on. So I don't do a reward system. We just do them. We do the chores, we just do it. And everyone seems happy about it, and they actually truly are helping me. And I just have to say, last night, the girls went to bed kind of early because I was so tired. So they were in their rooms at like 6:45. They normally go to bed at 7:30. And my older daughter totally tidied up her bathroom. She put everything away. She hung up the bath rags on the nozzle, and she put all the bath toys in the bin, and she organized under the cabinet. I couldn't believe it. And I'm thinking inwardly, yes. And I said to her, I'm like, this is amazing. Thank you for helping me out with this. You went above and beyond, and doesn't it feel good to be tidy? And she just, was saying yes. So I'm just loving that they are conscious and aware of what they do. And over time, you will see them. Now my girls just know. I don't even have to say it anymore. When they take off their clothes for the bath, they both just go and put them in the dirty clothes hamper. They don't put them on the floor anymore. So it is very rewarding for me personally to see it. And those are my tips for raising tidy children. I would love to hear your response below. What do you do with your children? What are your plans? Do you have any struggles in this area? Do you have any questions? Do you have any tips for us? Let us know in the comment section below. Thank you for joining me on the Daily Connoisseur. I'll see you soon. Bye.